Yes, guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. Today, I'm going to try and open the discussion about one of the hardest topics to talk about when it comes to Chelsea Football Club, and that is, should we leave Stamford Bridge? Should we redevelop Stamford Bridge? Do we even want to leave Stamford? Like, where are we going to go? There's so many questions about a new stadium for Chelsea Football Club. Before I do get into anything, I'm loving uploading every day right now on more GBFC. We're close to 3,000 subscribers. I'd love it if you could check out the channel. Link in the description. But today, we got to talk about the stadium, haven't we? Because this week, we have seen Manchester United have announced plans to move to a new 100,000-seater stadium in Manchester. It's a mega project. It looks a little bit like a main stage at Tomorrowland, but, you know, the chances of it actually looking like this is probably quite low. I think it looks quite funny, but it could be quite good. And if it was a Chelsea stadium, I'd probably be even more critical, to be honest. And look, I just want to set the conversation up a little bit here, because if you'd have asked me 5 years ago, when I was going to Chelsea home games, Chelsea away games, following Chelsea across Europe every week, basically dedicating my life to following Chelsea, if anyone would have said to me back then, do you want to leave Stamford Bridge? I'd have been like, absolutely no, mate. I don't want to leave Stamford Bridge. And if you're going to bulldoze it, then you're going to have to go through me first. I'd stand there and sit on the pitch if I had to. But now, I don't go to Stamford Bridge anymore. And I think when you're not going to games, right, there could be a different perspective that you have. And I understand financially why Chelsea moving to a new stadium eventually is something that we can't just turn a blind eye to. Because right now, Chelsea Football Club having a stadium with 40,000 fans, we could easily sell out a 60,000-seater stadium. Easily a 65,000-seater stadium. The atmosphere at Chelsea, I've spoken about it quite a lot recently. And this isn't just a Maresca problem. This isn't just a Clear Lake Blueco problem. This has been an issue at Stamford Bridge for years. And what we got to remember is, being in an affluent area of West London, it's an expensive place to live. It's an expensive place to acquire land. It is a very difficult place to get planning permissions to do anything. Stamford Bridge isn't necessarily built these days to maximize the atmosphere. So even purely from an atmospheric perspective, any new stadium build would obviously be built with acoustics at the forefront of whatever the design's going to be. And I think moving to a new stadium, whether it would actually improve the atmosphere or not, I don't actually know if it would. Because realistically, right, the way that you see tickets being sold at Chelsea nowadays, we've got flipping Westview tickets that used to be about 75 quid that are just now randomly 750. Nothing's really changed. You don't really get much more for your ticket. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of... It's very expensive, basically, to go to Chelsea games nowadays, which is why there's a lot of fans, old school Chelsea, that would probably go to a game and sing their heart out for 90 minutes. They don't go anymore. Maybe they don't want to go anymore. They don't like the atmosphere. They don't like what it's like to go to Chelsea. Or maybe they've just been priced out of a ticket. So when it comes to Chelsea actually being financially competitive with the likes of Arsenal, who have already had their new stadium now for flipping donkey's years, and they're even talking about the next developments for the Emirates Stadium. So Arsenal went from Highbury to a bigger stadium. They're now in the next phase. Flipping hate saying that, but it's true. They're going to redevelop the Emirates. They're going to make it better. Spurs, 2019, moved into their new stadium that cost them about $1 billion or whatever it was. So the Tottenham Stadium, as much as I don't like Tottenham, you guys know this, I flipping hate them. It's a lovely stadium, to be fair. If it was any other club, I'd probably go and visit it. No, I'm joking. I wouldn't. I absolutely wouldn't do that. But Chelsea have always had difficulties regarding this new stadium. Remember, there was the potential development at Earl's Court. Nothing happened there. There was the Battersea Power Station that ended up being a flipping shopping mall now. I've eaten a pokey place there once. It was quite nice. But, like, Chelsea could have ended up moving there. But there's always been such a strong affinity to Stamford Bridge. And look, there always will be an affinity to Stamford Bridge. Like I said earlier, if you'd have asked me 5 years ago, I'd have said absolutely categorically not. My brain would have been all about, I love going to Stamford Bridge. Stamford Bridge is my home. It's your home. It's our home. How could we possibly leave it? Why does change always have to come and rip up what we love and what we know? But unfortunately, we've got to look at it beyond that. And PSR is a real thing. Financial fair play is a real thing. And how else, without doing Man Cities and flipping the books and breaking the rules and all that nonsense, how are Chelsea supposed to increase their revenue with a 40,000-seater stadium, other than the ridiculous ticket price sales that we're seeing nowadays, or vivid seats and all this stuff? It's not really gonna put a dent compared to the amount of revenue that the likes of Spurs, Manchester United, these clubs are going to be making serious money, and they will continue making serious money. For Chelsea, it is either new stadium or redevelop Stamford Bridge. Redeveloping Stamford Bridge isn't as easy as it sounds. It isn't just like we put a bit of scaffolding up, stick a couple of plastic seats in there, and we're all going to be all right. Planning permission in the UK is an absolute, it's crazy, all right? My dad works in construction, so I know what it's like. It's not easy, let alone talking about the value of the land near and around Stamford Bridge. People don't want to sell anything. People don't want to move. There's the West Brompton Cemetery, I think, there as well. There's so many reasons why this is difficult. And even if Chelsea were to expand on Stamford Bridge, where do we play in the interim phase? You know, if we were to relocate for what, 3, 4, 5 years, depending on how long it would take to build, Wembley would probably cost around 20 million a season. That's not cheap either. And Spurs going to Wembley, not that they ever won anything before that, but it's not like that made them any better. There's always, right now, there is an identity issue at Chelsea. There is a lot of fans looking at the club, not recognising it the way it was. Right now, would it be beneficial when there's already a bit of a discord between the club, the way it's ran, the ownership, fans, the players? Do we even like this team? You know what I mean? There's so many big question marks. Moving away from Stamford Bridge right now, I think, could be the nail in the coffin for some people. But I really genuinely don't know where I stand on this anymore, apart from the fact that I do see financially why we would need to move, because we need to increase the revenue. Chelsea for years, 40,000 has not been enough. It's not been enough since even before Roman Abramovich took over. So what I think the best thing that could happen is, in my opinion, if it's possible to redevelop Stamford Bridge, then great. But even that, like, I don't want to play at Craven Cottage. I don't want to play at Loftus Road. I don't want to go to Wembley. I don't want to play at Twickenham. Do you know what I mean? It's so difficult to get my head around not being at Stamford Bridge, despite understanding the financial implications of staying there and not doing anything about the new stadium. So, honestly, I know that this video may have just been like a load of gobbledygook to some of you and a load of waffle, but that's genuinely just the way I feel about it. Like, I could sit here arguing both points back and forth all day long. And as I said earlier, whatever happens at Chelsea requires the majority vote of the Chelsea pitch owners. The CPO inevitably will have the final say on what happens here for Chelsea. Because, look, the CPO, they don't want Chelsea leaving. So I think this whole discussion is something that either is the noise is going to keep getting more and more and more internally at the club, because they're just going to keep pushing this new stadium. Like, I really don't know where we go with this here. I don't know what the outcome is. But, yeah, Man United's new stadium looks like Tomorrowland main stage, as I've already said earlier. But I can see why it would be useful. Let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments down below. Slightly shorter video today. I just wanted to talk about it because I was just thinking, like, well, what do I feel like now compared to how I felt 5 years ago when it was an absolute no from me? But now that I am a fan that doesn't go, like, it's so hard. It really is so difficult. As I said at the start of the video, check out the links to more GBFC in the description. The Just a Couple G's channel is also there as well. Copenhagen at home. The preview for that game is coming out tomorrow. So stay tuned to the channel and make sure you're here for it. And I will see you guys there. Come on, you Blues.